All right, here we are. Welcome in, everybody. How you doing? How's the sound? I had to do some things before the show started today on Monday, and I'm a little concerned about the sound. Is it coming through the computer, or does it sound like I'm on mic? Because this thing is tricky that way, and I require you, the chat room, to tell me if everything sounds okay or not. I am Pugs Moran. This is the Rant. We do it every Monday through Friday right here about noon. It's current events, hot topics, whatever it is that people are talking about. We do it here. Seriously, there's nobody in the chat. There we go. I'm like, what's happening here? Ever since Restream changed their format, I used to wait until the chat room was full, until I'd come into the show and I knew there were people. Now it's like there's nobody, they don't show me the chat. There we go. Now we got everything. Sounds good, April says. Thank you. I rely on you. Cliff, thank you, pal. We got Al. We got Taronda. We got Frankie B. Okay, here we go. Jeff is here. The Restream number shows that there's 0 people tuning in right now. 0. And yet here we are in the chat room talking to any number of folks. I hate you, Restream. Wrong camera. Camera's here. I hate you, Restream. Did you have a good weekend? I had a good weekend. I hung out with the kid all weekend. I got a 15-year-old boy. We fought a lot. That seems to be what we do all the time. What did we fight? We fought about something so stupid. Something really dumb. Oh yeah, here it is. So my son plays high school football and he's a center, and he's recently taken on the added responsibilities of being the long snapper, and he's gotten really good at long snapping, and we're hoping that maybe down the road that'll be the difference between a scholarship and not a scholarship, because he does have this trick now in his bag. So he's really, really dialed in to practicing. So we spent all weekend, 105 degrees, whatever, trying to, work on his snaps and work on his spin and his positioning and all that stuff. He's getting very good, very good. Compared to where he was 6 months ago, oh my God. Holy shit. Anyway, point is this. We're out there in University Park. We're looking for a place this weekend. It's 105 degrees out, so we're looking for a shady place to do some snaps outside. So we decide, let's just walk over to the SMU campus. We're like, yeah, let's do this, SMU campus. So we walk over. It's beautiful. It's a Saturday. Kids are moving in. I mean, the vibe is just incredible. So we go out to the gigantic SMU quad. You know what a quad is on a college campus. It's where people have picnics and throw frisbees, and, people play flag football and all that kind of stuff. It's a giant grassy area for student lifestyle activities. That's what it is. So we go out there, we find this great little area, and it's under some shady trees. And I'm like, this is perfect. The problem is there's nobody else out there. So we're the only people out there. And I walk out onto the grass, and my kid is standing on the sidewalk. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, you can't go on that grass. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? It's like, I don't think there's anybody. I don't think you're allowed on that grass. And I'm like, dude, it is the main front lawn of a college university. You don't think this was designed for picnics and frisbee? And we got into a huge, huge fight, because I'm like, I wasn't upset that he was wrong that, the grass at a college campus isn't for students. Wasn't upset that I was wrong. I was upset that he was unwilling to use his brain to go, you know what? This is a college. I bet you kids walk on this grass all the time. And then as we're saying that, like 2 kids just cut across the grass and they're in the background. And I go, see? Like, I was upset that he was being kind of a follower. Like, he wasn't like, being courageous in life and going, yeah, it's grass. I'm going to throw the football around on here. There's no signs that say do not be on the grass. And again, as we're having this argument, 2 students just walk right across the grass. And at that point, I kind of lost my shit as a dad. I go, see? And I pointed and I embarrassed him, and he walked away, and it was awful. I felt so bad because although I won the argument, I proved to him that people could go on the grass at SMU. Even though I proved that to him, I failed to recognize that he's a 15-year-old boy and these were a couple of college girls, and I just pointed and embarrassed him, and that was not cool of me. So he starts walking back, 105 degrees. He starts walking back to the house, which is like 2 blocks from where we were. He starts walking back to the house, and I'm like 20 feet behind him, and I'm starting to feel bad, so I start to apologize. So he turns around, and he whips the ball at me. I wasn't ready for it. He hits me right in the face. So now we're up to another level because now I'm really pissed. And he hates when I get pissed in public because I tend to be, performative. And like if you're in a house, you might open the window and go, what's that guy yelling at that kid for? So again, that was a problem. We ended up walking back to the house. We ignored each other for about 15 minutes. And then we calmed down and I said, you want to go to the other park? And he goes, yeah, let's go. And all was forgotten. That's like the relationship between me and my 15-year-old. It's we love each other and we get over it, but oh my God, do we scream at eeach other. Oh my God, we vent on each other. We get it all out. And then it's like, 5 minutes later, we're like, yeah, that was just, that's you know me, right? I made you. It's like I look at him, I'm like, I made you. I know what that was because that was something that I do too. So that was my weekend. Other than that, he ignored me all weekend. He ate a bunch of stuff. God, a 15-year-old kid, he eats. I'm in training for football. Dude does 5 meals a day. I'm not even kidding. He wakes up, he has a couple of burritos, then breakfast burritos. Then a couple of hours later, he's like, I'm going to go get some muffins. And he's eating 2 muffins. And then like an hour after that, he's like, I want a grilled cheese. And then like 3 hours after that, after we work out, make a Philly cheesesteak. And that's dinner at like 6 o'clock. So don't think he's not going to want to eat again at like 8. And then he's like, let's go to McDonald's. Can we do Grubhub? I'm like, ugh. He's not fat. He's not fat. He's just big. He looks like a Texas high school center. He's just, I guess you might say that kid's kind of a hefty kid. He's big. He's just big. He's burly. And anyway, I can't keep up with him food-wise. Peter's here. Hi, Peter. What's new? Let's see. He says, Pugs performative? No way. Mama B is here. Hi, Mama B. Fast Outdoors, hanging out in the chat room. He says, hey, Pugs, I ended up having to take Caleb Williams for a fantasy quarterback football. As a Bears fan, will he be good? He is going to be extraordinarily good. He is going to make us all forget about C.J. Stroud last year. That's right. I said it because I'm all in. And why wouldn't I be? Because it's football season. No, I think isn't Caleb like the number one like drafted next to Mahomes or something? I don't know. He's really hot in fantasy football. I think it's a safe bet. Here's why I think it's a safe bet. Not because I'm, a Bear fan and completely biased, which I am, but there are other aspects to it as well. This new offense is going to do nothing but throw the ball, and he is a quarterback who can throw the ball, and he's got 3 elite. Well, 2 are elite. One is probably going to be elite guys he's throwing to, in DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. Then he's got 2 really good. He's got one of the best unknown tight ends in the league in Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet's going to have a breakout year. Then he's got Gerald Everett, who, Herbert was throwing to for the last, 3 or 4 years. So, I mean, he's got weapons, and he's got Swift in the backfield, and he's got Roschon Johnson in the backfield. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a very safe fantasy winner. I don't know if he's going to be the bet, but I think it looks like it is going to, especially since this offense is going to do a lot of chucking that ball around, and he's just the guy to do it. So not a bad pick, I would say. But again, I'm a fan. Cameron's here. Hey, Cam, how are you, buddy? All right. Big day in media today. Big sports day in media. Before we get into all the things that we're going to do here today, I just got to talk about something that I'm going through right now. I'm going through it today. I'm going through it, and I'm trying to be magnanimous, and I'm not trying. I am. I'm very excited. Today is one of those days. On the show, we go through history, and I say, well, here's an event that happened that I bet nobody took notice of on the day that it happened. But here we are 50 years later, and that turns out to be a good example of that was the other day. I talked about how Friday was the anniversary of the World Wide Web going public, being allowed regular people to use it. It was on Friday of the year 1992. And I said, I bet this didn't even rate dinner conversation. I bet nobody even knew what this was in 1992. And look at that. The internet was essentially born. Born did. What a big day that was. But in the moment, we didn't recognize it. I think we've got something on a much smaller scale, to be sure. But we've got something like that happened today, and it came out of nowhere. And it came out of fucking nowhere to me, somebody who has been fucking laser focused on this and wondering if it was going to happen. And I had no inclination that it was going to happen today, and it happened today. Fuck! But also, yay! What that is a company named All City Networks has expanded into the Dallas-Fort Worth market. All City Networks. What does All City Networks do? I'm obsessed with All City Networks. I'm obsessed with All City Networks, and I'm obsessed with their founder, a kid named Brandon Spano, who seems to be an absolute visionary and seems to be the only other person on this planet who I could sit and have beers with and talk about what I think is going to happen, and he might agree with me, because I've been having this conversation with people for 10 years, and everybody's like, but it's not radio, but it's, how do I listen in my car? Oh, fuck you. All City Sports Network is reinventing local sports talk from coast to coast, and they're doing it in an incredibly inspirational way. For me, somebody who's here now in Dallas doing Radio Misfits Dallas, trying to create local targeted content. I don't give a fuck that this is on YouTube and people in Norway can watch it. I want people in fucking Arlington watching it. So it's a new way of targeting digital content. Terrestrial radio, I say this all the time, terrestrial radio and terrestrial television in 2024 are just fucking stupid. They are far more complicated technology than there needs to be. Every radio station that you still listen to, they have some giant old-timey tower on a hill somewhere that costs about $1 million a year to fucking keep up. So that's called ridiculous overhead. And that's what television and radio do. They send a signal to a tower, and then the tower goes flat, and then you're riding around with your antenna and you pick it up and you watch it. That's so dumb. That is so dumb. It's a loss leader. It's money that doesn't need to be spent when they can just go digital. Every radio station should just be streaming digitally. People have phones. People can do digital in their cars. But Pugs, you love radio. Isn't this the death of radio? Yeah, well, you know what? I may have also liked horse and carriages, but when cars came along, I'd have probably been okay with it. So anyway, I've been saying for years, I'm like, you've got to get focused on replacing local media brands with digital platforms. The ticket is great. The ticket is what else is big in this town? Like KRLD is great. The ticket is great. But those are old-timey. Okay, what is the ticket of the next millennium going to be here in this town? I'll tell you one thing, it ain't going to be relying on a tower on a hill somewhere out in Cedar Hill. No, so it's going to be some. So All City Sports kind of recognizes this, and they have, over the past 5 years, they have been selecting certain markets to go in and start creating local digital content with big name, known local sports people. They did it in, I think it was Denver first, DNVR, which became massive. I mean, now you want to talk, I keep saying this, you don't think it's going to replace sports radio in America? Well, you ain't talking to the people I'm talking to, because I can tell you that you ask that question to sports program directors in Philadelphia, Chicago, Phoenix, and Denver, and they will tell you, holy fuck, All City is real. People who used to tune in to sports talk radio like The Ticket every day are now tuning in to this all sports network, whether you're in those cities. It's got to be in those cities because it's all for those cities. I myself, I am a daily consumer of CHGO. I used to listen to sports radio religiously, and I still do from time to time. But the fact of the matter is that at night when I want to get my Bears camp reports and I want to hear really fun conversation by really articulate and bright people talking about my team, I don't go to local sports radio anymore. Half of my favorite sports radio personalities are now at CHGO in Chicago. That's part of the All City thing. So when I moved down here 3 years ago, I started going, why the fuck isn't there a Dallas version of CHGO or DNVR or Philly? I don't know what Philly's is. PHLY, something like that. I don't know. And so for the past few months, actually for about the past year, actually, the first time I brought it up, I've been working with people, trying to get the attention of All City Sports, trying to raise money on my own to bring this here. And that's why I say, this fucking blindsided me today. When I woke up this morning and I saw that DLLS DLLS, the All City Sports Dallas-based platform, went live today for the very first time out of nowhere. Well, I was crushed. I got sick to my stomach. I went, holy fuck. This shit that I've been talking about is being done. Other people were doing it. I wasn't talking to the right people, obviously. Talking to a bunch of rich old guys who are like, but is it radio? Huh? Fuck. So then, after my initial sick to my stomach about what DLLS was doing, then I settled in and I went, okay, so what? I'm going to let that ruin my life? This is fucking awesome. Good for them. And by the way, before anybody gets it twisted, this is not about, I'm not a sports guy. I'm a sports fan, okay? I don't do sports talk or that kind of thing. So this is not like, oh, Pugs wants to go work there. No, we're doing our own thing here, Radio Misfits, trying to figure it out. And all I do is I look at those people and what they're doing as proof of concept that we're doing something proper, which is targeting local Dallas people with entertainment. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just ranting into a microphone about current events from Dallas. But those are the plans. Over the course of the next few weeks, months, we'll start unveiling other shows here from Radio Misfits Dallas. But man, it's proof of concept what All City is doing. And I listened to the very first show. They went live at 11 o'clock with a Dallas Cowboys show. It's basically just sports radio. It's like a bunch of guys doing a sports radio show, but specific topics for like 1 hour. So this was a 1 hour Cowboys preseason wrap up, hosted by Jeff Kavanaugh, who is like, would have been my number one pick. I'd have been like, yeah, you got to get Kavanaugh. I just said, you got to get Kavanaugh. I'd have gone after Richie Witt. I'd have gone after some younger people. Like there's some really good young sports guys that are doing digital content here. I'd have done that, but they went for the first show. The Cowboys team is going to be Jeff Kavanaugh. It's going to be Clarence Hill Jr. It's going to be Jesse Howley, and it's going to be some girl who does cowboy coverage, and I don't know her name. I'm unfamiliar with her. But the first show went on at 11 o'clock, and I watched the entire first show, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I'm like, I can completely see how this is going to be a hit. Their daily content, their multiple shows every day that they'll be uploading to YouTube is going to be really great. There was already a weird, awkward, apparently Clarence Hill, the longtime writer for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram Cowboys beat. Clarence Hill, back in the day when Jesse Howley was coming on to the Cowboys, remember he was like a reality show winner guy? Jerry Jones had that reality show, Who Wants to Be a Cowboy? And Jesse Howley won. And then he made the team. He shocked everybody. But there was this moment today, about 45 minutes into today's inaugural DLLS show, where Jesse Howley called out Clarence Hill to his face on shit that he wrote about him back when he was, trying to make the team. And it was awkward. It was so awkward. And then it was made okay because Clarence Hill, being confronted with this, didn't lay down. He just went hard. And there was like a 5-minute conversation about, you weren't good at football. What do you mean I wasn't good at football? You was a reality show winner. What are you talking? It was great. Local sports conversation. It was really fun. Anyway, I wish them the best of luck. And I can't wait to see what else they got. They're gonna have shows that are, the Cowboy team. They're gonna have the Ranger team. They're gonna have the Stars team, and they'll have the Mavs team. Kevin Gray Jr. is gonna be helming the Mavs content. It's really good. It's really good, and I'm telling you, a year from now, you people will be like, hey, this is really good, Pugs. Have you ever heard of it? I'll be like, I talked about it on the day that it debuted. It took you a year to figure out that this content is really cool. All right, so that's what's happening here locally in media. And I'm telling you, so I've processed through the whole thing. I told you that when I first saw it this morning, I was sick to my stomach. I was like, fuck, I wanted to do that. Again, I didn't want to host it. I wanted to run that bitch. I wanted to be the guy in charge of the content and the programming. That's what I wanted. I don't want to be on the air. I'm too old. Maybe I'm not too old, but I want young people. I want people in their 30s and in their 20s. That's what I need for digital content creation. I'm willing to be the fun old white guy, if that's even a thing. Is there such a thing as fun old white guys anymore? Anybody know? Anyway, last of my breed, I guess. So if you are a Dallas Cowboy fan, I highly suggest you go to YouTube and you look for DLLS Sports. DLLS Sports, and just subscribe. Just like it and follow them. And I'm telling you, for me, the way I use it for my Bears coverage, the Chicago version, CHGO, I come home from work, I put on YouTube, I go to the CHGO page, and I just hit boom, play. And it's just video after video, content after content of, and it's everything. It's everything. It's everything you could possibly want. And I think it is. I don't even call it the future of local sports radio. It's not the future of local sports radio because I've been consuming it as my primary source for 3 years. It's the present, and it's finally here in Dallas. You'll see. You will see. You will see. Over time, you'll be like, man, this is good. Why do I keep seeing this content from all city networks? All right, that's what happened today. I want to do that. But I don't, you know me, I don't want to do sports. I want to do some sports. I want to talk about sports. I love talking about sports. But I want to create here in Dallas. I want to do for lack of a better term, I want to do a guy talk show. Now that doesn't mean we don't have women. I mean, Pugs and Kelly was a guy talk show and it was filled with women. So I want to do that. I want to bring back that style of talk radio where it's just a bunch of people busting balls and making fun of the world. And I want to do multiple shows like that. Look, I don't need to bore you guys with it, but when I see what All City is doing, and then when I think about what I want to do with that kind of talk radio, creating it on the local level in different markets, that's proof of concept. It is proof of concept to me. You just have to say, well, we understand why this works because people are fans of sports teams. And, I'll say, look, dudes are fans of tits. We're going to have a lot of strippers. It's going to be like Howard Stern back in the 90s. We're going to bring back shock. Why? Because the internet is where you can do that fucking shit, where you don't have to be afraid. Oh, you're objectifying that woman. Well, she came in a bikini, okay? I think she was kind of wanting to be objectified. I think the pendulum is swinging. And I think that, when you think of like the Barstool platform, when you think of the All City platform, and then you think of what the Misfits platform could be. The Misfits platform could be that. It could just be content, guy talk content from a local base. Then you expand. Then we go to Houston, and we do Misfits Houston. We do whatever. Doesn't matter. A boy has dreams. And I'm happy for All City Sports. Good for them. Good for Jeff Kavanaugh. He's so talented. And all right, now look at me. I'm waiting to do this. I'm waiting for my documents to hold on. Kavanaugh's really talented. I'm glad that he landed there because I'm telling you, man, it's just going to be. He'll be there for 20 years. It'll be one of these things. In 20 years, he'll retire, and they'll be like, he's the Mike Reiner of DLLS, or something like that. Right place, right time, man. Okay. Sports Bras. There's another example. The Sports Bras are in the chat room. They're an incredibly good local sports content creator. The Sports Bras are fantastic. Check them out. Sports Bras on YouTube, Facebook, wherever. Are you guys involved in this at all, Sports Bras? Because I think you need to contact Brandon Spano. I think you need to start email bombing Brandon Spano. Yeah, I don't know who's it. I have no idea who the management team is at DLLS. As I said, this all just happened right under my nose without me even seeing it, me even sniffing it. I don't know who's in charge. Wants to be like Bruce Gilbert or some big baller like that. That'd be awesome. All right. Should we start the show? Should we start the rant? Why not? All right, let's get started. It is the Rant. I'm a middle-aged narcissist who does this every day, Monday through Friday at noon. We do the show every day from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E-Galleries on Dragon Street in Dallas's Design District. RadioMisfits.com is our home base. You should check that out. We go by Radio Misfits Dallas. All right, let's get started. It is the 26th day of August, year of our Lord, 2024. There are 239 days already passed in this year with 127 left to go. So let's get those New Year's Eve plans started. What is sports bras? No, we are not, but we can definitely be misfits. I'll look at you. Yeah, sit tight, boys. Sit tight. Let's see here. Maybe that's what I just had an idea. Yeah, I'm not going to share it, though. I'm not going to share it. Never mind. I just had an idea. Hold on. I got to write this down. I don't want to forget this. Okay. All right. There you go. Oh, they come a mile a minute. They don't call me Billy Blaze for nothing. Did you get that reference? You guys know who Billy Blaze is? Look him up. Billy Blazejowski. Let's do the first quarter. This is a show unfolds in what I call segments or quarters. We're in a very sportsy kind of mind today. So let's do the first quarter. The first quarter I call antecedently on this day. It's a quick run through of the events that have shaped our understanding of this particular day in history. It is this day in history. It is previously on August the 26th or simply antecedently on this day. 1944, World War II, Charles de Gaulle re-enters Paris. Don't get me started, you freaking hashtag never forget. Everybody forgot Charles de Gaulle was a badass. But if you ask the average idiot on the street, they'll be like, the French are pussies. No, they're not. You people have no idea of your history. As I say, I love Charles de Gaulle. Thought he was a badass. Ran the whole war, ran the French resistance from 4 seasons in London. He's like, yeah, the Nazis came over the ridge and we were just not ready for them. But we got the army together and now we're over here in London working with them. De Gaulle back to Paris on this day in 1944, like a badass, just walking in like Conor McGregor. On this day, antecedently in the year 1978, a papal conclave, elected Pope JP1, John Paul I, became Pope on this day in 1978. It's a weird period of time for me with world leaders. John Paul I became Pope on this day in 1978, and then he died a year later. And then we got JP2, who was, I think, a much better Pope. I don't know. JP2 was like my Pope most of my life as a Catholic growing up. JP2 is the one that I kind of think of when I think. I like Pope Frank, don't get me wrong, although I'm a lapsed Catholic now. But back then, when I was an actual Catholic, it was all about JP2. Not this guy, not JP1. He was born on this day, though. What else do we have? Or no, he wasn't born on this day. He was made Pope on this day. On this day, here's why I say it's a weird time for world leaders, because he was elected Pope and then he died and we got another Pope. And right around this same time, Brezhnev died, who was the leader of the Soviet Union. And then we got Yuri Andropov, right? Yeah, and then we got Yuri Andropov. He replaced Brezhnev, and then he died. He was Yuri Androp dead. And then we got Chernenko. He looked like the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz, Chernenko. Anyway, moving on. Nobody cares what you think former Soviet general secretaries look like. Maybe they should. On this day in 2009, J.C. Dugard is discovered alive in California after being missing for over 18 years. J.C. Dugard, you guys know this story? This is the craziest damn story. I mean, there's a lot of these crazy stories. Like remember we had Elizabeth Smart. She got taken, and then she got I'm not gonna say abducted and adopted by the crazy religious people, and they made her dress in robes, and they were out in public. But she was only gone for a couple of months, right? How long was Elizabeth Smart gone? It weren't 18 years. Jessie Dugard was walking to school when she was 11 years old. Some dude, hey, little girl, want some candy? Or however it's done. She got in the car and they didn't see her for 18 years. And then, get this, you want to know how they found her? 18 years later. So she's 29. She's almost a 30-year-old woman. The guy who abducted her and her had a kid, had a baby. So he obviously knocked her up when she was 12 or something. And that baby was now going to college, and they were caught looking at the University of California, Santa Barbara or something. They were taking a campus tour, and one of the people who were giving the tour was like, this just seems really weird. And they called the police, and it turned out to be J.C. Dugard, 29 years old now. And she's taking her. So she's abducted, and it's this horrible, horrible. I mean, it's a horrible thing to have happened. She's 11 years old. Her life was robbed from her, and she was given this crazy person's life. You are now my princess, and we shall repopulate the earth. But first, let's take our eldest child to college. And they went to college, and it seems so normal. Like, here you go, they're going to college. They're not hiding. What an off. And then she goes back to her family, and but she's 29. She spent 18 years with this crazy person. Oh my God, what an awful story. Why am I applauding? No idea. It's a terrible story. 2009, J.C. Dugard was discovered alive in California after being missing for over 18 years. Her captors, Philip and Nancy Gerardo, are apprehended. Yeah, apparently Philip Gerardo had a chick. He had a woman, but he's like, I like little girls, and they abducted her, and it had kids. Ugh. I feel like I made a little bit of light of that story. I shouldn't have made any light of that story. I'm just my whole. That's not anything that's funny. It's weird. Odd. Horrifying. It was on this day in 2009. On this day in 2015, 2 U.S. journalists are killed. Oh, God. Come on, man. I hate these stories. Geez. This is the girl in Virginia, the news reporter who was talking to a member of the Chamber of Commerce about some bullshit, and then some psycho former reporter who got fired the week before shows up behind her and puts a bullet in her head on live TV. Oh, no applause. Oh, fuck. I remember seeing that. I don't watch those videos, but I saw that video. I was like, oh my God. Dude was a reporter at the station. He got fired for being a fucking crazy person. So he shows up at a live cover, news thing. He sees, I guess I don't know what he was stalking her or whatever, but there's a news van and she's interviewing somebody. And he gets out of his car. He pulls out a gun. He walks up. He shoots the cameraman. He shoots her, the reporter, beautiful young 24-year-old girl. Shoots her in the head, and then shoots the Chamber of Commerce lady. Chamber of Commerce lady would survive. I don't know about the cameraman. I think the cameraman died too. But my God, awful. That was on this day in 2015. On this day in 2018, 3 people are killed and 11. Oh my God! No. All right. We got 2 stories here in a row now that I see this. On this day in 2018, and then again on this day in 2023, there was a mass shooting in Jacksonville, Florida. The one in 2018. Do you remember this one? This was that kids gaming thing. It was like a Madden tournament, and some psycho lost or had a bad game, so he pulled a gun out of his backpack and just started shooting all the people he was playing with. Go outside and play, kids. Fucking Madden. You're going to just start killing. So that happened on this day in 2018. And then on this day in 2023, exactly 5 years after the 2018 Jacksonville shooting, there's another shooting in Jacksonville, leaving 3 people dead. How many people? 3 people are killed in 2018. 11 are wounded. In the 2023 event, only 3 people. You know what? I'm done. I don't want to do that anymore. Let's talk about birthdays. These are people having birthdays today. We call it quarter 2. All right. Born on this day in 1910, Mother Teresa. She was born on this day in 1910. My son and I were watching some YouTube videos. There's this series of videos called Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David versus the World. And it's just all these situations where Larry David, was getting into a Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of situation. And they're very funny. And we're watching it. And there's one with, he's arguing with somebody. He called somebody an asshole. Larry called somebody an asshole. And the person confronted him. Why'd you call me an asshole? And Larry was like, I mean, everybody's an asshole. Everybody gets called an asshole. It's not a big deal. There's nobody on this planet who's never not been called an asshole. And the guy says to him, he goes, Mother Teresa's never been called an asshole. And Larry goes, you don't think there's some guy in her life who at some point has got, boy, oh boy, Mother Teresa, everybody thinks she's so great, but she's an asshole. I thought that was funny. He goes, you don't think anybody's ever said that in Mother Teresa's life? And I'm like, well. So anyway, Mother Teresa on this day, born 1910. There you go. She's good. I had to think about it. I'm like, do I have any hot takes on Mother Teresa? I don't. I really don't. All All right, born on this day in 1910. Born on this day in 1935, Geraldine Ferraro. She was the first female to ever be put up there on a major presidential ticket. She was the VP selection for Walter Mondale, and the whole country was like, we're going to have a woman. And then we didn't, because Mondale lost every state. It was the biggest landslide in recent presidential electoral history, that's for sure. Born on this day in 1959, Stan Van Gundy, basketball coach. I like that guy. There's two Van Gundys. There's one who's kind of fat and bushy, and then there's one who's kind of small and nebbishy. Nebbishy. Can I say nebbishy? Is nebbishy racist? Because I said it and I went, that sounds like it could be anti-Semitic. Is that because nebbish is but no, because I think nebbish is a Yiddish word. So anyway, I'm clear. I don't know which one Stan is. I think Stan is the fat, bushy Van Gundy. I think the other one is the small, skinny Van Gundy. Born on this day in 1959. Born on this day in 1960, Branford Marsalis. Oh, he's good. Never heard a goddamn thing he plays because I don't like that kind of music. I'm in a steak restaurant and I'm like, Branford Marsalis music. I'm like, what is Branford? I guess he's good. He's good. Oh, what, Pugs? You're so uncultured. Yep. When it comes to Branford Marsalis, I don't know anything about that guy. He was on TV, right? And he's like, people are like, he's a genius. I'm like, at bad, boring music. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Born on this day in 1960. Here's one. This is going to be a visual. We're going to look at this one. Born on this day in 1960. Haven't heard this name since probably 1984. Oh, but boy, let me tell you, back then, man, I was a big fan. Do you guys know who Ola Ray is? Ola Ray. Ola Ray, born on this day in 1960. Well, I knew who she was. This was Ola Ray. Look at this. Look at her. You guys remember her? The girlfriend from Thriller? Michael Jackson's girlfriend from his pretend girlfriend from Thriller? Ola Ray was a thing, man. When I first saw her, I'm like, 14, 15 years old. I'm like, man, let's see more of her. We saw nothing more of her. She had absolutely nothing else to add to her resume. And today's her birthday. All right, born on this day in 1960, Ola Ray, the chick from Thriller. Born on this day in 1965, Chris Burke. Chris Burke. Who doesn't love Chris Burke? I love Chris Burke. Chris Burke, Corky from Life Goes On. That dude was awesome. It's like when I first heard about Life Goes On, the TV show, and they're like, we're casting an actual actor with Down syndrome. I'm like, no way. And then I watched it, and I'm like, Corky's awesome. Remember that Sunday nights, like 7 o'clock, Life Goes On ABC? That was a good show. I enjoyed that show. Corky, Chris Burke, born on this day, 1965. Have there been any other Down syndrome actors? Remember, was it Blair's cousin from Facts of Life? Jerry something? What has she got? She's got a thing. I don't know how to be respectful. I mean, I'm just trying to openly talk about, struggles that people have. Who else? Anybody else? Have there been any other like celebrities with, I'm just going to say, like that thing, like Down syndrome, like mentally, is retarded even a word anymore? Can we even use that? I mean, it's a word, right? Like that's a word in the dictionary. I don't mean anything hateful by using it, but it does seem to be a word that sums up what I'm asking. Chris Burke, born on this day in 1965. Oh my God. I just had the darkest kind of, I'm not even going to say that. It's a dark, I'll wait till we actually start doing a real shock radio show like it's 1995 to say the kinds of things that I just thought, but it wasn't particularly interesting or kind. So born on this day in 1980, Macaulay Culkin. I never thought that I'd say this, but he is my second favorite Culkin. Kieran Culkin is way cooler than Macaulay Culkin at this point. Now, if you'd asked me in 1995, I wouldn't have even known who Kieran Culkin was. But, Macaulay Culkin, born on this day. I think Macaulay Culkin's pissed because Kieran Culkin has an actual career as a grown-up actor. He's very good. He was Roman Roy in Succession, and that's really where he blew my mind. But I can't wait to see whatever else he's in because he is a good actor. So do you think Macaulay Culkin looks at Kieran and goes, why did they have to go with a different Culkin? Why couldn't I, Macaulay, have gotten these roles? You know, there's got to be something going, okay, so I was okay to be a big super mega star at 10, but I'm not allowed to be a big mega star at 35, but my brother is, who everybody, with the first time they see my brother, they all say the first thing, that's Macaulay Culkin's brother. He's allowed to have the adult career, but not me. All right. Born on this day in 1980, Macaulay Culkin. Born on this day also in 1980, Chris Pine. All right. Who is Chris Pine? A lot of Chris's in Hollywood, and I like them all. So let me try and get my Chris's in line. Chris Pine is Captain Kirk. Chris Pine is Captain Kirk. Chris Pine was also in the Wonder Woman movies, I believe. Is he Steve Rogers? No, Steve Rogers. Who's Steve Rogers? Is that Wonder Woman or is that the real name of Captain America? Because, see, I confuse Chris Pine with the dude who plays Captain America, who is Chris, I don't know, let's call him Sullivan. That one I don't know either. And then there's a couple of Australian Chris's. One of them's Thor. And then there's Fun Chris, who is the guy from Parks and Recreation. But this one is definitely, Chris Pine having a birthday today is definitely Captain Kirk. He's also the son of the sergeant from Chips. Yep. All right, that's going to do it for birthdays. Let's move on to dead people. These are people who've died on this day. We take a look at what they've done in life, and we either send them to heaven or we banish them to hell. Let's do it. It's dead people, dead on this day. Oh, wait a second. I missed a birthday. I'm sorry. Happy birthday, Elvis Andrus. Texas Ranger legend, Elvis Andrus, born on this day in 1988. All right, now dead people. At 74? I didn't think this person, if you'd have asked me, when did this guy die? I'd have been like 1949. I mean, I didn't think he was around all the way through the 50s and 60s. Did he shut up? Is that the thing? Did he shut up for a bunch of years? Dead on this day in 1974, Charles Lindbergh. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Charles Lindbergh, okay? This is like he was a superhero to your great-grandfather. Here's what, first of all, can we start with Charles Lindbergh and his bullshit? All right. Charles Lindbergh is famous and was considered a hero. And oh my God, he's this great guy for doing something that any of us can do anytime we want to do now and have been able to do it basically since like a month after he did it, which is cross the Atlantic in an airplane. You know what he did? Or did he fly around the world? He crossed the Atlantic. Doesn't matter. You can fly around the world anyway. It's not impressive. It was impressive when he was the first. But then like within 3 months when there was like 8,000 people who had done it, you should have gone, maybe it wasn't that impressive. Maybe he was just the first to do it. It's not that hard, really. It's just nobody had done it. And he's like, I think I'm going to do it. And they're like, nobody's ever done it. And he's like, I'm going to do it. And he did it. And then people were like, yay. And then like now, 50 billion times a day, people do what Lindbergh did. They don't get a ticker tape parade. Anyway, here's the other problem with Lindbergh. He became a Nazi. Yeah, that fucking guy. He became friends with Hitler. He's like an American icon. He's like, I flew a plane across the ocean. Impressing everybody except time travelers in attendance. Time travelers were like, this is really not something that deserves a ticker tape parade. But, so he's got all this goodwill of the American people, and he starts palling around with Hitler. Charles Lindbergh. Maybe that's why he was quiet in the 50s and the 60s and then died in 1974. Charles Lindbergh is not a hero. He's not a hero. He didn't do anything impressive, and then he hung out with Hitler. So fuck that guy. He's going to hell. Dead on this day. And I don't care. But Jimmy Stewart played him in a movie. Yeah, well, that was miscast. Jimmy Stewart should not have played Charles Lindbergh. Born on this day in 1980. Tex Avery, American animator, director, and voice actor. Tex Avery did a whole bunch of the early Warner Brothers, some of the great Warner Brothers stuff. We're putting Tex Avery in heaven because he's awesome. Dead on this day in 1986. How about Ted Knight? Yeah. Judge Smales from Caddyshack. How about Ted? Mary Tyler Moore. Who did he play? Who did he play? Ted Knight played. I don't know. Whatever. He was great in Mary Tyler Moore. And then when I was a kid, he was on a sitcom. Was it Too Close for Comfort? You guys remember Too Close for Comfort with Ted Knight? He was like, he played a cartoonist, and he was a cartoonist in San Francisco, and he had 2 smoke show daughters. Although, if we're being honest, one of the daughters was a total smoke show, and the other one was like the nerdy, smart, responsible daughter who you're like, if she took her glasses off, she'd be hot, but she never did in the show. And he was a cartoonist, and he drew Space Cow. I think Space Cow was the name of the character, and he used to draw the Space Cow with the puppet of Space Cow on his drawing hand. I always thought that was interesting. Too Close for Comfort. Ted Knight, he's going to heaven. Heck yeah, Ted Knight goes to heaven. Dead on this day in 2004, Laura Branigan. Whoa. 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 Laura Branigan. You take my self-control. Right? Isn't that her? But also, Gloria. Didn't even know she was dead. We're putting her in heaven. Laura Branigan. Had no idea she died. Probably heard about it when it happened and went, okay. She got 2 songs. Gloria. And then the other one, Laura Branigan. But she's going to heaven. She seems okay. There's no reason not to put her in heaven. I can't think of any reason to not. Gloria. Dead on this day in 2003, Bob Barker. Bob Barker, Price is Right. That's funny because I guess I would have just assumed that he was dead, but also there was like a part of me that was like, he might still be alive. So when I saw his name, I was like, really? Yeah. He died. When did he die? 2023. He just died? He lived to be 100 years old. He was born in 1923. He died in 2023. Bob Barker, American television and game show host. We're putting him in heaven. He was cool. Nothing wrong with him. Cosmic Cow. Kevin Barber reminds me, the Ted Knight created cartoon character in the show Too Close for Comfort was in fact Cosmic Cow. I tell you, Lydia Cornell. Tell you, man, I don't know what to make of that. That name doesn't mean anything to you. What is you, gay? Back in 1984, Lydia Cornell was one of his daughters. And she's never done anything else in TV. But I was probably like 13 or whatever, really horny. And she had huge boobs and blonde hair. And, she was kind of like a Suzanne Summers type, but I thought way hotter. Lydia Cornell was his daughter. Oh, also, this is the show, the Too Close for Comfort, the Ted Knight Show. That's the show that introduced us to Jim J. Bullock. Monroe. He played Monroe. Monroe lived downstairs and spent a whole lot of time with the 2 hot daughters, but Dad didn't seem to mind that Monroe was spending time with the 2 hot daughters because there was something that went unsaid on that show. I'm going to be honest with you. Jim J. Bullock, a guy who I got to know a little bit, he used to do our show in Chicago all the time, and he's a lovely dude, really fun dude, but super gay. No doubt in anyone's mind about Jim J. Bullock being super gay. So when they cast him to play Monroe on Too Close for Comfort on ABC television in the 1980s, he was super gay, and they never said he was gay. He was just a dude who lived in San Francisco. He lived in an apartment underneath the hot daughters and whatever. But that was the first time where I went, okay, that guy's gay, right? But they're not saying it. Why aren't they just gonna go, hey, this character's gay? I was 13. I thought that's how the world worked. But I'll tell you what. If you want to make a case for Too Close for Comfort in the way they normalized the character of Monroe as being one of the most progressive and forward-thinking shows in the history of television insofar as how it deals with homosexuality, I might sign off on that because he was obviously gay. They just never made a point of it. They just never went, hey, it's the gay guy downstairs. They never did that. They didn't feel compelled to. They just let Jim J. Bullock be super gay. Just be like real flamboyant. And, he was like Jack from Will and Grace. Anyway, nice guy. Is he alive or dead? Now I got to know. Jim J. Bullock. I think he might be dead. Oh my God. I think he might be dead. Jim J. Bullock. Oh, it's not Jim J, right? Isn't it JMJ? There it is. It's JMJ Bullock. What the fuck? Is he alive? Is he alive? Yeah, he's alive. Oh, he's alive and he's happy, man. Hold on. All right, Jim J. Bullock is alive. I was going to show you pictures of him, but I realized I was on Google. And Google Images are not for sharing. Google Images suck to share on this platform. I gotta go to Bing if I want to share pictures. But there was a picture of like a 69-year-old JMJ Bullock in a swimming pool with another dude, and they looked very happy and good for them. That's what I say. Peter says the Paul Lynde of the 80s. Yeah, Paul Lynde was like that too, but Paul Lynde, there weren't like Paul. If you remember Paul Lynde, who was obviously a gay man and wasn't really putting on any macho airs for television, Paul Lynde, there was all kinds of like sexual innuendo with Paul Lynde. You knew he was gay. They always made like, well, maybe Paul's into that, and then he'd be like, you know, and that was they weren't. Again, they weren't saying Paul's gay, but for completely different reasons. They weren't saying Paul's gay because, you know, back in 1975, there would have been, you know, they would have burned the studio down but they didn't shy away from the fact that Paul was interesting. Let's just say that. He was interesting. Look at Wayne! Got eye! It's my guy, Wayne. Wayne's my old friend. I like Wayne. All right, that's going to do it for the first 3/4 of today's show. Now it's time we talk about current events. We're going to go through a list of things that are happening in the world today. I'm going to just go a little bit nuts. I'm going to rant. It's a free form stream of consciousness. I don't take breaks. I just keep talking. So if you're with me, let's do it. Also, I would like to point out at this time that we are still looking for people. If you're interested in helping out my former partner, Kelly Moore, Kelly Moore's family has a GoFundMe set up for her 2 youngest children. I believe they're super close to the goal, so maybe you can get them over the goal if you're so inclined. You can find a shortcut to the Kelly Moore, in loving memory of Kelly Moore, by visiting pugsandkellyshow.com. Just go to pugsandkellyshow.com, and that will redirect you to the GoFundMe page. And if you just want to go to that, you can go to the GoFundMe page and you can search in loving memory of Kelly Moore. So if you can, that would be great. There you go. Hold on. How do we do this? Hold on. I'm having a little bit of trouble here. Why won't the dead people go away? And why won't... There we go. Okay, I see it. I'm sorry. You know what? I've got so much stuff going on here right now. There you go. All right, there you go. We're going to put that up there. All right, let's talk about what's happening in the entirety of this here crazy mixed up world that we've got. How about the situation in Israel? You guys watching this? I thought we were going to have a full-out war starting on Saturday night. We've been waiting to see what Iran was going to do. Iran had been saber-rattling. This comes after a Hamas leader. No, or was it Hezbollah? I think it was Hamas. Okay, so there's 3 players we got to be aware of here, okay? You got Hezbollah, which is up in Palestine. You've got Hamas, which is essentially in the Gaza Strip in the West Bank. And then you've got the Houthis, who are down there in Qatar and all over that area. So Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. All 3 of these groups are funded and armed by Iran. Why? Because Iran knows that if Iran directly attacks Israel, that the gig's going to be up, right? Bullshit. So a couple weeks ago, Israel blew up a compound in Iran, in the country of Iran, which was crossing a major line because it's a direct strike on Iranian soil from Israel. Iran would be justified in returning fire, and they claimed they were going to. They had the Ayatollah, who is the spiritual leader of the nation, not to be confused with the president, who is the political leader of the nation. The Ayatollah of Iran made all of these incredibly bombastic, saber-rattling, we will return fire and the Israelis will be wiped out. So that was very alarming. That was months ago. It was about a month ago at this point. We've all been sitting here waiting for Iran to respond. Well, I don't think Iran is going to respond. I think Iran kind of understands that if they respond directly, that's it, game over. And now we're going to have a coalition, and it's Saddam Hussein time in Iran. That's what they don't want. They like just being the asshole in the region, and they just get up to the line where we're going to drop the hammer on them, and then they back off the line. So what has been happening now over the last couple of weeks is that the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas, who are all backed by the Iranian government, they have been stepping up attacks against the Israelis, both in the northern border area, which is the border with Lebanon, and also the Houthis are now blowing ships up in the water. The Houthis are now, a Greek tanker was blown up yesterday, which is a huge thing. It's a huge thing because, trust me, that's why we got naval ships in that region. We don't want to disrupt the shipping of oil to the rest of the world. And if the Houthis are able with any regularity to start disrupting shipping, now we're going to have an all-out sea battle there, and we're going to have the full United States Navy floating out there. That is not, look, all of this stuff about blowing up hospitals and schools and killing kids and wiping out and genocide and all of this stuff that people are screaming about, that's all well and good, and it's not going to move the needle at all. You know what's going to move the needle? You disrupt the flow of oil from the region. You do that like the Houthis did over the weekend, and now we got something serious. So in addition to that, before that happened, the Israelis launched a preemptive strike against Hezbollah on Saturday night. Israel said that their intelligence had told them that the Hezbollah militias were putting their shit together and getting ready to attack Israeli settlements there. So they preemptively acted on Saturday night, and that caused Hezbollah to then react for a couple of hours Saturday night, and it was very tense, and everybody thought the whole thing was about to go up, and then nothing happened, and it was kind of quiet. Although right now we're in that stage where it's like, holy shit. So now we're taking, I don't identify with any of these sides. I'm just trying to take a 30,000 foot view and explain what's going on. So now what you have is, you've got Israel, who is taking shit from the world for the way that they've conducted their operations in Gaza. So Israel's already, everybody's like, fucking Israel, we're pissed at you. We're friends with you, but we're pissed at you. So they got that going on. But now they're also being simultaneously attacked by 3 militia groups backed by Iran, but Iran doesn't have the balls to actually be like, yeah, it's us. No. So they're trying to get by on a technicality where, well, sure, we gave them money, but we gave Hezbollah, Iranian government, this is what they'll say, we give Hezbollah all of that money for food. If they spend that money on weapons, that is not, well, what about the Iranian drones and missiles that we found? How did our missiles and drones get mixed in with the dry goods and wheat that we were sending to the Houthis, right? So Iran's always trying to walk their way out of it. This is a big situation that's happening, and the next couple of days are going to be really crucial. If you remember, the United States, we had Anthony Blinken, our Secretary of State, we had that D-bag over there with his guitar strapped to his back. He's like, any open mics after I get done negotiating peace? I hate this guy. I hated him. He's They've been working on this peace deal over there for months. And as of Thursday of last week, remember the Biden administration? They're all like, hey, we're going to have peace. We're going to have peace. And then the whole fucking thing blew up in their face over the weekend. So much for that. All right, now let's talk about Starliner. You know, Starliner, the Boeing Starliner has been one of my favorite subjects since it fucking shit the bed about a month ago now. So the Starliner is Boeing's latest attempt to prove to the world that they're not a bunch of incompetent fools. Boeing's been going through it, man. Boeing can't get airplanes to work properly. And so now they're going, check out our space shit. And of course, the Starliner, it was the maiden voyage of the Starliner. Two astronauts went up to the International Space Station aboard the brand new Boeing Starliner. So they go up there, they dock in the space station, and they're hanging out, and they're like, yeah, it's so great to be here. Glad we get to go home. And then they got in the Starliner to go home, and it was like, hey, you guys got any jumper cables around? Anyway, the Starliner, because it's a Boeing product, it wouldn't start. Actually, I'm just dumbing it down. It's a far more complicated issue, but basically, for all we need to know, it wouldn't start. So now these 2 Starliner pilots are stuck up there on the ISS. They're not supposed to be up there. There's no place for them to sleep. There's not enough food. We haven't figured it out, like how I mean, they'll get there. We'll be fine. But they weren't, they're basically just sleeping on the floors up there. Or do you float? I don't know how that works. Point is this, they're not supposed to be there, and their damn ride won't start, so they can't get back to Earth. So everybody's scrambling. How do we get them down? Now, initially, Elon Musk, that D-bag, he steps up and he's like, oh, I can do it. I can rescue them, blah, blah, blah. And they start working on this plan for SpaceX, who, interestingly enough, is like the major competition for government contracts with Boeing. So SpaceX is like, well, we'll save Boeing, but maybe when you're looking to do that next big government contract, you'll want to sign with the people who had to rescue the people who got stuck. Anyway, that's why he's doing it. He's not being magnanimous by any stretch. He's just trying to prove that his SpaceX shit works better than Boeing shit. Well, that didn't work out because they got a couple of weeks into planning a rescue mission with the Starliner crew, and they realized something that they probably should have checked on first, and that was the life support suits that the Boeing astronauts have and are wearing are not compatible with the SpaceX spaceship. Can't have universal plugs. Well, all you stupid billionaires trying to blow up the moon, you guys can't have universal plugs. You can't just, I'm serious. It's probably something stupid like that. So anyway, so now they got no spacesuits. So they announced over the weekend that the Starliner crew, the two people, Suki somebody, and I don't know, let's call him Fred Davis. Fred Davis and Suki Stackhouse. They're up there. They're not going to come back until 2025. They're not going to come back till February because they can't make a spacesuit that'll support them in the SpaceX before then. Oh, this Starliner thing sucks. Now, let's talk about the human aspect of this, okay? So you're these two people. They were only supposed to be up there for like 6 days or something. It was like a 6-day thing. First of all, they're the first people to fly this piece of shit. They're test pilots. That's already a super ballsy profession, and that's, you got to be cool with that. That's a cool thing. So they're on a test flight, and for just clearing the pad. When they cleared the pad, it was like, yeah! And then, second stage, yeah! And then they're in space, and they're like, this thing works! They were only supposed to be gone a couple of days. Now they're going to be up there like 9 months. 9 months away from their family. They're going to miss Christmas. They're going to... Fucking Boeing. That's all I can say. Boeing. Big arrest that's making a lot of First Amendment advocates a little bit nervous. Big arrest over in France over the weekend. The guy who runs Telegram, this Russian oligarch dude. What's his name? Hold on, we'll get this guy for you. Pavel Durov. Pavel Durov. He created Telegram. Do you know what Telegram is? You shouldn't. Don't know. You know what? Just don't know what Telegram is. Telegram is like one of those sketchy ass social. It's an encrypted social media platform that's run out of I imagine a mountainside in the Baltic somewhere. I don't know. It's just something real sketchy. You can buy illegal drugs, I guess. They're big into kiddie porn. It's just, there's no rules. I don't know what it is. And I think that's a good thing because the little that I do know about Telegram, okay, so that's what it is. But we must separate. We must be intellectual when we talk about these events. We must separate what we think of the product from what is actually happening to the man. So this Pavel Durov guy, who is a total piece of shit, he's got 100 kids from 50 different women, but he's a billionaire, so, whatever. Kids have Air Jordans, but they don't know their father, but, hey. So he was arrested when he got off his private jet. He's a billionaire. He sold another company that he ran called VK, which I think is the Facebook of Russia. He sold that for $11 billion 10 years ago. And then he's got Telegram and that's worth another whatever. Anyway, his private jet lands in France and he's arrested on a warrant. Now, this is, I'm going to read you the details here, okay? Just so we get because then we're going to have a conversation about, is he a bad guy? Oh yeah, totally. Probably a total piece of shit. I'm sure he's responsible for some horrible things. But is this right? Is this right? Is he a bad guy? Yeah, he's a bad guy. But is this right? I don't know. I don't know if this is right. It makes me nervous. And by the way, this also has Elon Musk in the crosshairs. There is now a major concern that Elon Musk could be arrested should he find himself in the wrong airport in a European country for the very same reasons that this Pavel Durov guy has been arrested. Again, would love to see Elon Musk arrested, but I don't know if it's proper. I don't know if this is right. I mean, I just want to see it. I want to see him be arrested. I want to see him humbled and humiliated. Because I hate Elon Musk, except for I do appreciate the stuff he's doing with SpaceX. I do. Of all the, I have to keep saying this. I'm a space nerd. That seems to be the only legit thing that he's involved in that I'm like, yeah, all right, keep going, kid. Everything else, total D-bag. Stupid cars. Actually, not all his cars are stupid. I do like some Teslas, but that's cyberfuck. Cyberfuck. Being driven by a cyber schmuck. All right, Pavel Durov, the Russian-born billionaire founder and owner of the Telegram messaging app, was arrested at Le Bourget airport outside Paris shortly after landing on a private jet Saturday. He was immediately placed into custody. The arrest of the 39-year-old technology billionaire prompted on Sunday a warning from Moscow to Paris that he should be accorded his rights and criticisms. Whatever. There was no official confirmation from France of the arrest, but 2 French police sources and 1 Russian source who spoke on condition of anonymity said that Durov was arrested shortly after arriving at Le Bourget airport on a private jet from Azerbaijan. See, it's also sketchy. Paris isn't sketchy, but Azerbaijan, very sketchy. Here's what they say about Telegram, and this is why he was arrested. Or he says this about Telegram. Telegram abides by EU laws, including the Digital Services Act. Its moderation is within industry standards and consistently improving. Telegram CEO Pavel Durov has nothing to hide and travels frequently in Europe. It is absurd to claim that a platform or its owner are responsible for abuse of that platform. So that's basically what this is. There's all kinds of sketchy shit going on Telegram. This guy's cashing checks, making all the money, and having absolutely zero responsibility for what's going on. He's making money off of people trading kiddie porn and guns and drugs. And so that is the point of view of the prosecutors here in Europe. They're saying somebody's got to be held responsible for it. This guy cannot continue to be running around the globe on private jets making all this money. Basically, allowing or providing the infrastructure for these illegal things to occur. That's the argument. What I say is, that ain't good enough. I'm sorry, that ain't good enough. I happen to agree. Just because, you know me, I don't carry water for rich people. I think these rich people, they've all done something awful in their life to get to where they are. So I'm not carrying water for this guy. But in this particular case, I don't see how it is the responsibility of the dude who's in charge of the big, giant behemoth corporation to be responsible for what some jackass does. Now, I think there's middle ground here. I think that what will end up happening is that they will force Telegram to utilize more moderators, which currently, apparently, they only use 300. And give that into an example. Facebook has thousands and thousands and thousands of moderators that work there at Facebook. Twitter has the same. This guy, this Russian Telegram, only has 300 moderators whose job it is to catch kiddie porn, to catch guns, to catch drug deals going on their service. I don't think the guy needs to be put in jail, but I certainly do think that he can probably invest a little bit more money into making it more in line with what he claims we do the same thing as but he doesn't. He doesn't. Well, he says here, it's Telegram abides by EU laws, including the Digital Services Act. Its moderation is within industry standards, but it's really not. I mean, it's really not. And that's the argument here, is that he's just making all this money off of all this illegal activity that's going on this platform that he created, and that they're trying to hold him responsible. I don't know that he is ultimately responsible. I don't know what you do. All right, moving on. Apparently I have no take on that. Because, I want to blast this guy because he's a weird, freaky 39-year-old Russian oligarch billionaire. And I think there's probably zero redeeming qualities from this cat. But whatever. Mosquitoes in Massachusetts. Are you worried? Be afraid. Here's something to be afraid of. I got something for you. You're always looking for shit to be afraid of. That's who we are. We're humans. We love the endorphin rush of fear. You're all going to die from mosquito bites. Not me. Not me, as I've been very, very clear about. I do not get bit by mosquitoes. They don't fucks with me. Mosquitoes look, of course, you can probably look at it as my ex-wife used to point out. I have sour blood. She said, you have sour blood. It's not because you're special, and it's not because mosquitoes are afraid to bite you. It's because obviously your blood sucks, she used to say. And that very well may be the case. But I've never been bitten by a mosquito. They land on me and they just don't bite. They fly away, and I feel blessed. However, Massachusetts, they got some deadly mosquitoes out there. People are dying. There's some weird encephalitis disease that's being carried. Yeah, I'll tell you what this is. Here we go. A rare but deadly mosquito virus has Massachusetts towns urging vigilance. They're telling people to stay inside, to not go out at night. A rare but deadly disease spread by mosquitoes has one town in Massachusetts closing its parks and fields each evening. 4 other towns are urging people to avoid going outdoors. They're concerned about Eastern equine encephalitis. 30% of people who get this, 30%, check this out, 30% of people who get this from a mosquito bite, they die. No questions asked. They just die. And then the remaining 70, they have like problems for the rest of their life. They have like permanent disabilities from this stupid mosquito bite. And it's just going on in Massachusetts. And they're just like, hey, don't get bit by mosquitoes. You know what I don't see anymore? When I was a kid, they used to have these trucks that would roll through my neighborhood. They were like flatbed trucks, and they had these big blowers on the back, and the blowers would spit out some kind of horrible 1980s toxic chemical, which was designed to fill the air and kill the mosquitoes. Do you remember those? Did you used to have those? And it smelled so bad. Like if you were out playing, like you were 12 years old in like 1982 or something like that, and you're out there playing at like 8 o'clock at night, a truck would come down the street and it would make that noise, and it would spray mosquito stuff. I guess the town was paying for that. I don't know. And now we got Mosquito Joe. But how come they don't do that anymore? How come that's not a thing I see anymore? Because that shit was toxic, right? And we as kids, we used to like ride our bikes behind it. Who could stay in the fog the longest? That is not a joke. That is something that we did. We would see the mosquito truck pumping out all of this black toxic shit, and we would get on our bikes and we would ride behind it, and you would try to get completely inside like the smoke, the plume of toxic mosquito killing smoke. That's what we did in the 80s. It's kind of shit Gen X did for fun. You guys are all pussies. You guys all suck. All right. Anyway, I don't think they do that anymore. I haven't seen one of those in 30 years, and it's got to be because a bunch of kids died. That is the other thing about Gen X that I always have to explain to my son whenever I'm telling him Gen X war stories. I always have to explain, we didn't all get out, kid. We did not. I know we think we were fine. We had no rules, and our parents but we were fine. No, we weren't. We just didn't care. But I lost multiple kids in high school. I lost multiple kids growing up from stupid shit like, not wearing a helmet on an ATV, or, pool hopping and jumping into an empty pool and breaking your neck. I mean, we did shit, but we didn't all get away. We didn't all get out alive. All right. What else do we have here? What else? We got the mosquito story. Telegram arrest. We did that. Oh, how about Ronda Rousey? You want to talk about Ronda Rousey? Ronda Rousey's making news for like the first time in 5 years. Where has she been? She's doing WWE, right? Yeah. I don't watch wrestling because I'm not an idiot, but that's where she's been. She used to be an MMA fighter. She used to be a really good MMA fighter. She used to be like the most dominant female MMA fighter that the world had ever seen. But the problem was, as I used to point out all the time back then, she only does one thing. She does one thing, and as soon as somebody figures out how to counter that one thing, she will never win another fight. And guess what? That's what happened. You're gonna fight Ronda Rousey? Avoid the armbar. Just don't let her grab your arm. Just no matter what happens, do not let her touch your arm. And you will punch her in the face and you will win. And that's basically what ended her MMA career. But Ronda Rousey, she started having an acting career. She started doing things. I was never a Ronda Rousey fan. I was a fan of her dominance. And I was also a bit befuddled that nobody could figure out how to stop that armbar. I'm like, she does one thing, but I was never a fan of her personality. I always thought she was kind of a bitch. I always thought that she was one of these girls, and this is not an attractive feature to me. There is a type of girl out there, and I'm going to speak directly. There's a type of girl out there who somehow makes it a part of her character and her personality to be dude-like. You know, the dude-like chick? And it's very confusing because sometimes they're hot. Like sometimes the dude chick is like really hot and she's belching the alphabet in a bar. I can do the alphabet. And she's like really hot and you're like, no. Well, that's a girl who I think probably had a dad who was a little bit too present. You know, you got the spectrum of girls. You got the dads who are too present and they end up with like hot daughters burping the alphabet in a bar on a Friday night. And then you got the ones who are not present at all and they tend to become dancers and decide to sell themselves sexually to any man that will pay them attention. Those are the extremes. Again, that's there's a whole bunch of normal women in the middle. I'm just telling you what the extremes are. Can you handle that? Ronda Rousey was like the dude chick. She was always, because she was attractive. And I'm like, oh, she's attractive. And then you'd hear her in an interview and you'd be like, oh, yeah, she talks like one of the Bad News Bears. She's like, she doesn't really have any femininity that's really coming through here. It's all, I'm going to kick your ass. So I never took to her. I was impressed by her ability to armbar people. That's where it goes. A couple of years after she became famous, she became well known for also having shit takes, like really bad shit takes. Like not only is she kind of like a dumb dude chick, but she's also just dumb. She's just a dumb person who had a pretty big platform, and she's got what I call the arrogance of ignorance. There are a lot of people who are really stupid and they just think what they think and they're confident in their stupidity. Then you have the arrogance of ignorance. And they say things that are just so stupid, but they say it with such bravado and confidence that other dumb people are like, oh, they must know what they're talking about because they said it so confidently. No, she was one of those. She had arrogance of ignorance. And she famously became a Sandy Hook truther. Yeah, Sandy Hook. Oh, Jesus. Fuck it. Sandy. This is not even a topic that I like to even bring up. This is just such an atrocious and horrifying situation for anybody that's a parent. Sandy Hook, okay? So we're not going to fucks with whole Sandy Hook. But she came out and she was like, yeah, never happened, blam, blam, blam. And she took almost zero heat for it back when she did that. There was zero heat. I guess we were all focused on, who's the other one? Who's the other chick fighter that everybody tries to cancel? Gina, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so the other day, she was doing an Ask Me Anything. I guess it was a Reddit thing set up by her publicist. Ronda Rousey has a new book coming out about her life. And in the Ask Me Anything, everybody started asking her about Sandy Hook. And she basically is apologizing for it. She said, look, I got to give her credit. Here she is. She's much older. She is, I'm going to read to you exactly what she is saying now. She hasn't addressed this in years since she put out a tweet that denied Sandy Hook or whatever. She hasn't said anything in years, but here's what she has to say. Let me see if we got it. All right. A spokesperson for the lawyer who represents the family of the Sandy Hook victims declined to comment on Rousey's apology. In her statement, Rousey said that she was remorseful and ashamed for the pain that she contributed to those affected by the massacre. She says, I've regretted it every day of my life since and will continue to do so until the day I die. Rousey warned others about falling down the black hole of conspiracy theories online. She says it doesn't make you edgy or an independent thinker. So it doesn't make you edgy or an independent thinker. You're not doing your due diligence, entertaining every possibility by digesting these conspiracies. They will only make you feel powerless, afraid, miserable, and isolated, she wrote. You're doing nothing but hurting others and yourself. You know what? Hey, good for you, chickie. Good for you. I applaud that. That's a fucked up thing to even be. Look, even if you think that, shut your fucking mouth, because you don't know for sure, and there's a bunch of parents with dead kids. So for her to now like come out and admit, like, man, I was stupid. I was like 23 years old. I was trying to be edgy. I didn't really have. I applaud her. I applaud Ronda Rousey for apologizing. There you go. Gina Carano, Barney says. Barney helps me out. Gina Carano was the other one we were probably focused on canceling when the other hot chick fighter said some dumb shit. She's apologizing, though. She is apologizing, and that's fine. That's fine with me. All right, what else do we have here? Running through the show. Today's show is going by so quick, everybody. Let's keep going. Oh, fuck you. Oh, this is so badass. Oh, my God, you guys. So there are two things that I learned this morning, that basically shocked my world. The first was All City Networks, the sports network, expanding here into Dallas and launching today with Jeff Kavanaugh. Check them out. DLLS Sports at YouTube. Just go to DLLS Dallas, DLLS Sports YouTube. Follow them for all your Cowboys, Stars, Mavs. Anyway, moving on. So I learned that this morning, and that shook me to my very foundation. But then shortly after that, I learned something else, and that is it looks like Oasis is back together. It looks like them boys, the Gallaghers, are going to put their shit behind them. They haven't played together in like 10 years, 15 years or something. They got into a big fight on stage because Liam and Noel Gallagher can't get along. Oasis is teasing, I guess it started yesterday, Liam and Noel, both on their social media accounts, are teasing something, right? And so now it's being reported that Oasis is back. Oasis. Now, I don't need any new Oasis. All right. Can I be honest with you? Like, I don't want to hear the new shit. I don't want them to go, you've been working on this. I don't want that. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. There ain't no young kids. Young people are the ones that want to hear new music. And I just don't think there are any young people who are going to be interested in the Oasis reunion. It's going to be a bunch of like 35 plus people, right? That's 35 plus, and I think that might even be low. It'll be 35 plus who want to see Oasis. Now, you're probably thinking, who the hell wants to see Oasis? Oh, you guys don't know. You guys have do you know how big Oasis is? They are easily one of the 5 biggest bands of the last 40 years. Oasis sold and did concerts. Now, maybe not in America, although they were big in America, but they were so much bigger everywhere else. Here's an idea. Or not an idea. Here's an example, I should say. So the Oasis concerts, this is the BBC I'm reading this from. The BBC is breaking this. Oasis is going to announce a reunion. Tickets go on sale tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. in London. And they're going to be doing, hold on, check this out. What are they going to be at a bar? Nobody's going to want to see Oasis. Dude, they're doing like 10 shows in a row at Wembley. They're going to break Taylor Swift's Wembley record. Oasis, a band who hasn't played, and they're going to do it. You have no idea how big they are in England and all over that part of the world. Holy shit. Let's see here. Liam and Noel Gallagher have ramped up speculation that an Oasis reunion could finally be on the cards, as the brothers teased that a band announcement could be made as early as Tuesday. A short clip in the same font and style of the band's famous logo appeared on the brothers' social media accounts on Sunday. I mean, look, that's all you need to know. They are posting the same things. Liam and Noel Gallagher are posting the exact same things on their independent, mutual of one another social media pages. Yeah. That ought to tell you. They are talking. The fact that they are even it's real. Let's see here. The date being shared by the boys shows 8/27/24 before flickering and then reading 8 a.m. So that is when the tickets go on sale. 27th of August, year of our Lord, 2024 at 8 a.m. Fans of the Manchester rock band have pleaded with the brothers to regroup since they broke up in 2009 after a backstage brawl. They're awesome. They are awesome. They are my favorite. Now, look, There's a lot of brothers battling brothers in the history of rock and roll. You can go back to the Davies with the Kinks. You got Ray and Dave Davies. They fucking hated each other. Then you got Creedence. You got those brothers. They hated each other. John Fogerty and Jim Fogerty. They despised each other. You had in more recent times, right? Well, not more recent. That just shows how old I am. But in the 90s, you had the Robinsons. You had Rich and Chris Robinson of the Black Crowes. They fucking hated each other. And of course, now you got Oasis. You got Oasis with Liam and Noel Gallagher. They were amazing together. They couldn't work together, and so the band broke up prematurely. And now we're at a point here where they're going to get back. Why can't everybody be Van Halen? The Van Halen boys seem to get along well, right? Alex and Eddie, there were no real problems there. They seem thick as thieves. Any other brothers in bands? I'm trying to think. Anyway, very excited about the Oasis story. Let's see here. Liam Gallagher spent much of Sunday online responding to rumors on X, formerly known as Twitter. He responded in one, "I never did like the word former." That was in reference to the headline from the newspaper saying former bandmates. So there you go. There's that. Let's see, where's the information? It has been 30 years since chart-topping Definitely Maybe album by Oasis turned the Gallagher brothers into stars. The hype has sent fans into frenzy, with many people sharing their excitement. And one fan said, "Heaton Park is a terrible venue for concerts," with Liam responding, "See you down in front." Hold on. Where's the stuff about Wembley? Hold on. All right, there you go. Anyway, all you need to know is I could have just read to you what I was reading, but instead, anyway, yes, the tickets are, they believe to be a bunch of shows at Wembley going on sale tomorrow. What's Ross Rubio doing? Ross Rubio just out here shouting, "Pantera!" What about Pantera? Brothers. There you go. There you go. Thank you. There you go. Diamond Daryl. They got along good. They didn't fight. Did they? Did they fight? Is there like some? I'm trying to think if those guys, like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I didn't like Phil. I mean, I think maybe that was it. Maybe the two brothers just decided that they didn't like one guy. And so, all right. Let's talk a little bit about the NBA and TNT. This lawsuit is now going to the courts. It's a huge, huge lawsuit. The NBA doesn't want to be on TNT anymore. And TNT is saying, hey, and the NBA is saying, you people are too small. How insulting. NBA wants to sign with Prime. They have signed with Prime. They're moving over to Prime. They're going to be on Prime channels. They also signed deals with ABC and NBC. So you got Prime Video is going to now be a home to NBA games in the way that TNT for so many years was. TNT is very upset about this. TNT is an old-timey cable network. Prime is about digital and all of that stuff, so I can understand why the NBA would want to go to Prime. Also, Prime has Bezos, and there's a whole lot of money there. You know who doesn't have a whole lot of money? Warner Brothers Discovery. And they're like on the verge of bankruptcy, and they're trying to maintain some fantasy that they're going to have basketball next year, and they're not going to have basketball. So let's see what the latest here in this lawsuit. NBA slams Warner Brothers Discovery, says company lacks reach and cash to challenge Amazon TV rights. TNT insists that the league's actions are unjustified as court battle heats up. Unless someone calls a timeout soon, the legal game between the NBA and Warner Brothers Discovery, that's TNT, TBS, over small screen basketball rights, 2-for-1, anyway, blah, blah, blah. Again, we don't need to go through this. Anyway, here's what you need to know. The NBA is like, fuck you, dude. Just get it through your head. You are too small. The world of entertainment and media content creation has passed you by, Warner Brothers. You people were afraid. 10 years ago, Warner Brothers, you guys should have made the jump. 10 years ago, you should have went, we're going to take a loss for a couple of years, but we're going to be all digital by 2010. You didn't do that. None of you people did that. You sat there and went, this stuff is a phase. This is a fad. podcasting. Hell, I just saw something the other day. I was watching an old podcast, and it was from a couple of years ago. Yes, it was an early Joe Rogan podcast, and he had somebody. Oh no, it wasn't. I'm sorry, it wasn't Joe Rogan. It was the old Norm Macdonald show. Well, he's dead, but still, Norm Macdonald was doing like this podcast where he would interview people, but there was also video element to it, so you can find it on YouTube. He was talking to Super Dave Osborne, and the very first thing Super Dave Osborne said was, "I guess the career's going well. You're doing a podcast now," and they all laughed. And I'm watching this. I watched it this morning. I'm like, fuck you, Super Dave. I love you, Super Dave. But my God, did you sound like an old, out of touch man in that moment? Because what may have been right in that exact moment, that it wasn't a big thing in that exact moment, you also showed that you lacked any sort of vision for what was coming, because man, were you wrong. All right, what else do we got? Let's see. TNT and WNBA are now trading shit talk with each other. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is a story that I was reading this morning, and it's a story that comes around every now and again. People discuss it, but I'm obsessed with it because this is something that I absolutely love, and it is something that I engage in, and I think it's my right, and I am not even ashamed to admit it anymore. Okay, I am. No, I'm not gonna full out admit it. Here's what I'm gonna say. I enjoy self-checkout at the grocery store. I love it. I prefer it. I will wait in line for self-checkout before I'll go deal with a human being. I would much rather do it myself. I can't be, truthful without telling you that in the very beginning, like the first 10 times, I fucking hated it. Like the first 10 times, I'm like, why my tax dollar? Stupid old man shit that you say, I'm paying for people to check me out. No, you're not. This is a private store. I'm still angry. Why can't you hire more cashiers? So that was like the first 10 times I did self-checkout. But, that was like 500,000 times ago. So I'm pretty much got it down, and I love it. I love it. And should I make a mistake and accidentally not swipe something properly? Fuck you. Fuck you. This is the risk you take when you put me, a rank amateur, in charge of your financial bottom line. You are trusting me. You are trusting me. That is something I am telling you that I did not ever have any proper training in how to do this. I'm making it up as I go along. So if I make a mistake, that's got to be on you. Famously, when my son was very young, I stole like an $80 box of tampons. Boy, I really don't know how to parent. Diapers. It was like 40, 50 bucks. But I accidentally stole a giant box of tampons, Pampers. How did I accidentally steal them? Well, I was going through the checkout line, and it's a big bulky box of Pampers. And so the big bulky box was underneath. And I swiped everything, and I did the food and all that was in the basket, and then I put the bags back in there, and when the bags got put back in there, they obscured what was underneath. So I didn't even see that there were diapers underneath. I totally forgot that I put them there, and I walked out. Here's where I become a criminal. Before I got out of the store, I recognized that they were there. And that was a moment of truth for me. I'm like pushing my way through, the first set of doors when you're exiting a Kroger, that'll get you to the room where they store all the carts, and it's kind of like an outdoor room. It's a little bit more elementy, and there's always like a security guard standing there. So as soon as I got to that room in the Kroger, getting ready to exit, I went, oh shit. I didn't pay for those diapers. It's a moment of truth. I just kept moving. I just went, oh, well, let's see what happens here. And I'm walking to my car. You're walking cool because now you got the guilt of knowing that you did something that you probably should go back and pay for. So I'm walking to my car, and I'm like, I'm trying not to look behind me, not wanting to look suspicious. I just put everything in my car, and I went home. And it was fine. I have since Done that with watermelons. Forgot to pay for a watermelon once. It was under there. Forgot to pay for dog food once. It was under there. And I'm not saying this happens all the time. It probably happens once a year. Something like I'll have a lot of groceries and I'll forget that there's something under there. So that's my story. But guess what? There's a whole bunch of you out there that also have that story. This story today from the New York Times says, I am sorry to confess that I belong to the criminal class. Nothing massive like pulling off a Brinks-style heist, just common garden pilfering. The offense happened in an upmarket grocery store when I was trying to swipe through some discounted soggy strawberries at the self-checkout. While running late for a meeting, the barcode refused to register 6 times in a row, and I even asked for the only assistant that I could see, who was halfway across the store yakking to a friend and ignoring my waving hand. Suddenly seeing red, I went for the finish and pay button and walked out with forbidden fruit. In that moment of self-righteous store rage, I felt that if the posh store didn't give a monkey's ass about customer service, then I couldn't be bothered with honesty. Yes, that is exactly how I feel. That's exactly. And also, let's not cry for the grocery stores. See, the grocery stores, they've got accountants who have made the calculations. You think the grocery stores are like, what? People are stealing? You think no, they've got that worked in. The idea that people are going to steal X amount is baked in. And they know that when they take the losses from people stealing, and counterbalance that against what it costs to pay actual human beings an hourly wage, and then some of them get health insurance, they've decided that it is more financially advantageous to their bottom line to just have us steal strawberries or diapers every once in a while. So fuck them. Anyway, the story here says that more and more people are doing that with regularity. It says, I'm not proud of this moment, but I'm also enraged by a shopping process that's become even more impersonal and robotic. No, not me. I like it being impersonal and robotic. I'm fine with that. 26% of people responded to an Ipsos poll saying that they have accidentally stolen something of significant value from a grocery store in the self-checkout. 26. And I think it's important to note significant value, because I stole diapers. They were like $40-$50. Diapers were really expensive. And I know you're probably thinking, wait. So your end bill was like $40 less than you thought, and you didn't know they were down there? Stop. I'm not on trial. Stop asking questions. Stop asking questions. Maybe at some point during checkout, I noticed that the diapers were under there, and I thought, it's plausible that I could not see them. What if I pretended to not see? I don't know. Maybe that happened. Get a lawyer. Take me to court. All I'm saying is I'm with 26% of people who from time to time have been like, fuck this. I'm going to take this. I've also done another thing that I'm not proud of. I don't want to admit this one. This one isn't bad. Okay, so I like to buy discounted loaded potato salad. I love the Kroger loaded potato salad. And it's like $7. But if it's like, stuff that's been out there all day, then they drop it down to like $2. So I will buy the $2. I'll take it home and eat for dinner. It's delicious. So when they mark it down, they put these little tags on it, these like discounted, reduced, and it's got a barcode with the new price on it. And they put those things on furiously. They just go and put them down. Sometimes there's not a lot of attention to detail to those barcodes. So maybe I have at times taken one of those barcodes that was put on sloppily, had it stick to my finger, and then maybe placed it on a loaded baked potato thing that was supposed to be $7 but is now $3. Maybe that happened. Maybe that happens with regularity. Maybe I'm now a guy who looks for the labels, the discounted labels that are put on poorly that will easily pull off and be attached to something else. Maybe I'm that guy. I'm telling you, you guys should go shopping with me. I am fucking great at shopping. I know where all the secrets are. Barney is in here. What's Barney running his mouth for? Barney says, one of my wife's friends is being charged for it. It was a fairly big ticket item. Normally, I would be skeptical of the claim of a misunderstanding. But in this case, the lady is almost completely blind. Charge a blind lady. Stupid. He says, so the daughter scans everything and can't hear the beeps, and the mom that paid can't read the that sounds like a messed up situation. They sound like people who probably should be dealing with a human being, you know? I mean, if you've got handicaps, I mean, you know, you can't. I'm blind. I can't check myself. You know what I hate about it? I hate how almost every time I do this and where I'm swiping the shit, at some point the computer or the scanner will go, please wait. And then like they'll have to get a checker come over, right? You know, this thing where you have to stop because it's frozen up on you, or it doesn't want you to be able to do it before somebody else takes a look at it because they think you're being shady. And then it says, please wait for an attendant. And I'm like, fuck. And so I'm standing there. And it always takes forever unless the attendant is at the kiosk next to you. Then she'll just turn and do yours. But it always takes forever. And then they finally come over. And in the early days, I used to think, oh, shit, I'm in trouble now. They're going to go through all the things that I've scanned. They don't do that. They just walk up and swipe their card. They don't care. So if the computer is actually detecting something irregular, the person who's there that is called to check up on it, they don't check up on it. They just swipe their card and go, okay, you're fine. And I'm like, thanks, I guess. I'm going to continue on. 26% of people are just like me. Travis Kelce's dad is in the news. Travis Kelce's dad has apparently been banned from Twitter. Nobody's entirely sure why, but there you go. There's a news story. Old Ed Kelce got himself banned from Twitter. All right. Hold on. Can you hear that? There's people here in the studio. Recording. All right, there we go. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? The last thing I wanted to talk about today, we're going to get out of here. Did you watch the Cowboys game? Did you watch? The question here that I'm reading off in a thread that I was involved in is Trey Lance a bust? Trey Lance. This is a continuation of a conversation I had with my son over the weekend. My son has big hopes in Trey Lance. He's not so worried about Dak because he's a kid and he takes Dak for granted, although he does love Dak. But his idea is, even if they don't work it out with Dak, there's going to be an opportunity for us to have Trey Lance. And my son, as I said, he's 15 and he buys into all the hype. He thinks Trey Lance is a first-round quarterback. He is, of course, not a first-round quarterback. The San Francisco 49ers thought that he might be after he played a quarter in college. This dude played nothing in college. So they moved up. The San Francisco 49ers, this was 2020 draft? 49ers move up into the fourth position. For some reason, they take Trey Lance. Okay, that's fine. 2 years later, the 49ers, Shanahan, probably the greatest, I'm not going to say the greatest mind in modern coaching, but one of them, one of the great new minds, Kyle Shanahan, he decides after 2 years that, no, we were wrong. Trey Lance can't play at all. Gets a fourth-round pick from the Cowboys. All right, it's better than nothing. I mean, sure, he gave away, he used a first-round pick and then gave away additional picks in future drafts in order to get him at number 4. He was wrong, but at least he understood he was wrong and he moved on. Cowboys fans, they're all acting like Trey Lance is going to be something. The guy is garbage. The guy has zero experience. The whole reason that we think that Trey Lance is something is because people in San Francisco made a huge fucking mistake on draft night 4 years ago and made him a first-round quarterback. He was a project from the very beginning, a small school, very limited snaps. This guy has less than 300 snaps at quarterback, and he was immediately put in charge of the San Francisco 49ers offense 2 years ago. Guess what happened? He sucked, and then he got hurt, and now he's a Cowboy. He's quarterback 3. He's QB 3 on the Cowboys depth chart. So again, am I talking to you? No, I'm talking to my 15-year-old son. Look, you got to give up the Trey Lance dream. Threw 5 picks. Now let's be fair. The first half, there were moments where you're looking at Trey Lance in the first half and you're thinking, wow, maybe this guy can be an NFL quarterback. But then when the game was over, he played the entire game, 5 picks. You can't, there's no way. 5 picks. Sports Bra says decent arm, no accuracy. No, you're absolutely right about that. But I would also say there is this misunderstanding about who he is simply because somebody made a big stupid mistake 4 years ago. He is looked at like my 15-year-old son. My 15-year-old son looks at him like he's a number 4 overall pick. And I think there's that perception among a lot of Cowboy fans who think, well, he's a number 4 overall pick. And I'm saying he should never have been. He's probably, look, he has some talent. He has great athleticism, and he's got a rocket for an arm. But again, he threw 5 picks. Should have been taken. Look at that. Wasn't Dak 5th or 4th? Was Dak 4th round or 5th round? Whatever. He's the guy. He's infinitely better than Trey Lance. Trey Lance needs snaps. Trey Lance needs to play. He came out of college you realize he only played a couple of games in college. He didn't have like this storied 3-year career at North Dakota Tech or wherever the fuck he came from. He didn't have that. He was just a guy who flashed on tape, and somehow the 49ers got bedazzled by him. I think it was because in that draft, a whole bunch of draft experts were like, this kid out of North Dakota Institute of Technology, or wherever, again, I don't know where he went. But all these draft experts started talking him up, and all of a sudden you got the San Francisco 49ers trading up to the number 4 position to take him. And now the whole world thinks this poor kid is running around carrying the burden of being a number 4 overall pick when he would probably tell you, I should have gone in the 3rd round. I had no experience. I'm a raw project that needs to be developed. I am not ready. All right. That's all I got. I got nothing else. Other than that, I think the Cowboys are going to be fine. My kid and I watched the game yesterday. And I know it's preseason and all that stuff, but I think they're going to be fine. I don't know if they're going to win a Super Bowl. I think that's I don't think they're there. I think you want to know what I think about the Cowboys this year? I thought that the Cowboys last year were a really good team who for some reason just couldn't get it done. But they were a very good team, a lot of talent on that team. This team this year is also a really good team, but not as good as last year. This team is not as good as last year's team. That doesn't mean that they're going to have the same record or a lesser record. No, it actually could mean that they're much better. I mean, it's all just about, where the chips fall. The moment, the cascading events that somehow intersect to create what is. I mean, there are teams that have won the Super Bowl that weren't even like the 10 best teams in the league. They just got hot at the right time. So, hope springs eternal. It is a new football season. But I'm telling you on paper, this team isn't as good as last year's team. This team's not as good. It's just not as good. Doesn't mean they can't win it all. All right. We love the Cowboys. Guys, I know what you're thinking. You're going, Pugs, you don't love the Cowboys. I kind of do. I kind of have to now, man. My 15-year-old, it's his team. I can't be a dick. I don't want to have that relationship with my son where I'm like this, legendary Cowboy hater like I've been since 1978 when Tony Dorsett and Roger Staubach blew my Bears out of the playoff, the wild card round. I was like, the Bears had sucked my whole life. Now, granted, I was only like 8 years old and had only been watching for 2 or 3 seasons, but they finally made it to the playoffs, and it's the Dallas Cowboys that blow me out. Blow them out. And from that point forward, I always hated the Dallas Cowboys. Never imagined that in my 30s I'd be working at the flagship station for the Cowboys, or that I'd be hosting pregame shows for the Cowboys, or that I'd be involved in draft parties for the Cowboys. So over the years, I have become an appreciator of Cowboy. I'll tell you what I love. I love Dallas Cowboys culture. I love, because how could I not? I mean, all my friends here are like crazy Dallas Cowboy fans, and it's fun. They're all assholes. I mean, there is nothing worse except for possibly New York Yankee fans, but there is nothing worse than a Dallas Cowboy fan out there in the wild. They're obnoxious, they're absurd, and they run their mouths. But as far as the culture of, that team and, I like it all. I like it all. And now my son, I got a 15-year-old son who loves it. So I am trying to really embrace the Cowboys this season. We'll see how that goes. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. I appreciate everybody coming here and hanging out with me. Sports Bros says the 49ers went the Mitch Trubisky route. What do you mean about that? What do you mean? What do you mean? Is it a shot? You taking a shot at me because I'm a Bear fan? Because the fucking Ryan Pace, for some reason, thought trading up for Mitch Trubisky at number 2 and Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson were still there. He thought that was a good idea? Is that what you're trying to get at? You're trying to trigger me? Sports Bra? Fuck it. It's over. It's over. We don't care. I don't care. You think I care? You think I care about Mitch Trubisky? I don't care. What's he on the IR out there in Buffalo? Backing up Josh again? He's hurt. I think he got hurt. Justin, always be a Justin fan, rooting for Justin. I'm a Steelers fan, rooting for Justin. But I got Caleb, man. You got to go onward and upward. You got to just be like, okay, this is my reality. My reality is Caleb Williams, and I'm all in. So don't you bring up Mitch Trubisky to me. How dare you? Years ago. Let's see here. Electric Outcast says, I was thinking of following the Saints this year, but I think I'm going to follow the Chiefs because the Saints reverted back to the Aints a long-ass time ago. The Saints are a fun team. Saints have a fun fan base. They've got a whole fun vibe down there. But, yeah, again, it's like, But Chiefs? Come on, man. Although, here is the thing. I think that it's perfectly okay for somebody who is a resident of Dallas, who grew up here in Dallas and all of that stuff, if you are going to walk away from the Cowboys and root for another team, I do think it's okay to root for the Chiefs. Only okay in Dallas, because this is where they originated. I mean, you can actually say, oh, my grandfather was a fan of the Texans, and this is like a family thing. So that actually kind of makes sense to me. Anywhere else in the country, though, if you just decide, I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan and I don't like the team this year, so I'm just going to be a Chiefs fan, you're a front-running son of a bitch. You're a D-bag liking the Chiefs. Like I say, I think it's okay to like the Chiefs in Dallas because they originated here. They were here. That's why I am an Arizona Cardinals fan. I have all of these teams. I got my Bears are my team, but my second team has always been the Arizona Cardinals because they were originally the Chicago Cardinals, and my father and grandfather were fans of the Chicago Cardinals, so I feel like I have a genetic right to root for the Arizona Cardinals. They were the South Side team. Electric Outcast says, I'm in Missouri. Man, I have an excuse. Yeah. Were you a Cardinals fan or were you a Rams fan? Were the Cardinals before you? I don't know. Don't you apologize for nothing, Electric Outcast. You're good. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. I so appreciate you hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow for more unfiltered current events, stream of consciousness ranting. I am Pugs Moran. This is the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E-Gallery in Dallas's Design District on the RadioMisfits.com platform. We'll see you back here tomorrow. We are Radio Misfits Dallas. Love you. Bye.